Hello, this is Required Fields, and in this video I'm going to make yet another installment of what I've been listening to lately. So let's get to the next installment of my What's Been Spinning series, and I'm going to kick it off with, this is Create a Kill, and this is their debut album, Summoned to Rise, and this is more of an extreme thrash metal sounding album. Some people argue it borders on death metal, but I'd say it's extreme thrash metal. Features members of Gruesome and Solstice. That's the American death thrash hybrid band, not the British doom metal band, Solstice, as that is. And it also, in one song, features the drummer for Megadeth, Dirk Verburen. I don't know if I'm saying that right or not, but yes, that has he's on one of the songs on it. And this is an awesome extreme thrash metal album. It's their debut album, 2018, and released a few months back. It actually was released digitally at first, but a physical copy didn't come out until 2018. It was I ordered it in July, but there was a bit of a delay, and so I didn't actually get it for a number of weeks later. But it was worth the wait. It's a really enjoyable extreme thrash metal album, so it'll surely be on my list of best albums of 2018 when I make it toward the start of next year. This is a band called Accuser, who I've discussed in some videos in the past, and this is their album, The Mastery. This is their most recent album, released towards the start of the year on Metal Blade Records. This is another really enjoyable album that they put out. I own most of their studio albums to date, but most of their albums were never really officially released in North America until their last couple. And also, I know that one of their early 90s era albums did get released on Century Media, but other than that, they never got a distribution in North America. They're from Germany, and yet I own most of their albums thanks to the internet. And anyways, my favorite track in here is probably Catacombs. There's a 6th track out of 10 on it. Anyways, yep, this is another enjoyable album from Accuser called The Mastery, and this is a band called Apocalypse. This is a Swiss speed power thrash hybrid kind of band. They have a large 80s Metallica influence. In fact, they even opened for Metallica in some shows when they were in Europe in the 1980s, I've read. And anyways, this is their self-titled debut, released in 1988. Although it got re-released a couple of years ago by Dive Bomb Records, a label whose some of the reissues I've shown there. And anyways, this band is not really an original sounding band in the slightest, but they obviously have their influences, and they're called a thrash band, but I hear a lot of traditional speed power metal type elements in there. You can hear some stuff that might be comparable to some sections that would be utilized by a group like Malaya Rage or Metal Church at times. The band definitely has a lot of traditional metal in their sound to go along with the thrash, although there's still a lot of thrashiness in there too, with Metallica being the most noticeable influence in the thrashier parts. The best tracks on here would be Digital Life, and the last 2 tracks, Dark Sword and Cemetery. Digital Life is the opening track. The band does also utilize a couple of very odd time signatures, like the very blues sounding part at the end of Digital Life, for example, which is otherwise a melodic thrasher, but otherwise it's the ending sort of sounds weird. And anyways, the second to last track, Dark Sword, is an instrumental and probably the best track on here, along with the opening and closing tracks. And okay, next up is Rigor Mortis. This is Slaves to the Grave. Rigor Mortis was a Texan thrash metal band known for actually having Mike Scacia of Ministry be the guitar player back in the late 1980s or early 1990s. They released 2 full-length albums in the EP before dissolving when Mike Scacia went to join Ministry. And Rigor Mortis reformed in the 2000s and had plans of an album called Slaves to the Grave, but due to some issues, it didn't actually get officially reissued. It was get officially issued at all until late 2014. Even though there was reported plans on working on a new CD for quite some time, they never actually got around. And they recorded it, but it never actually got released until after Mike Scacia died. In 2012, Rigor Mortis has continued to perform live, but under the name of Wizards of Gore, which is an obvious nod to the song they had on their 1988 self-titled debut. And anyways, this is the third full-length and final one from Rigor Mortis. It was released posthumously in 2014. And anyways, my favorite track on it is The Infected. And I thought it would be a good idea to spin this recently because it was around the Halloween time of the year. And when it comes to metal, you know, we got King Diamond being, you know, Halloween music. And these guys would be, you know, Halloween, you know, suited band too, because they have very largely have gore and zombie and bass lyrics. The band plays very fast-paced thrash metal, and there is a track on here which is a much more mid-paced, epic-sounding track. The closing track, Ludus Magnus, which is sort of like a gladiatorial combat-based song, but my favorite track on here is the fourth track on it, The Infected. The album is called Slaves to the Grave, and the line Slaves to the Grave is in the song The Infected. So it's obviously that's where the album got its title from. But anyways, this was an enjoyable swan song for Rigor Mortis. Nice epitaph for their career. And we're going to finish off this video with a band called Insanity, which is, and this is the album called Visions of Apocalypse. Insanity is a death thrash hybrid band, and they released an album called Death After Death in the early 1990s, but ended up disbanding for a number of years, and then in the 2010s they actually reformed, and they actually released this album, nice death thrash hybrid album. The best track on here is the epic closing track, Visions of Apocalypse, which is over 8 minutes in length, and has some sick riff work on it. And anyway, so yes, that's just a taste of some of the albums that I have been spinning as of late. And anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Anyways, this is Required Field signing off, and goodbye.